One Tuesday after my shower, I stood with a pencil over the paper calendar beside the linen closet. The marks were so small that nobody else would have noticed them. I'd quietly turned the number of days since ejaculation into a health score. One side of the internet said I was preserving strength. Another said I was inviting prostate trouble. I began checking whether I woke with an erection and letting that single morning decide whether the experiment was helping or harming me. A calm choice had become a private examination. At 83, I can tell you what silence does to a man when he is embarrassed by an ordinary body question. I have watched good men turn uncertainty into rules because a rule feels safer than admitting, I do not know what this change means. My age gives me experience with that silence, not a medical credential. The count could not tell me what was happening inside my body or why the same stretch of time could feel peaceful to one man and deeply unsettling to another. It could not explain whether desire was present, whether orgasm felt the same, or whether a new medicine had changed the sequence. That ambiguity matters after 60. The same number on a calendar can describe two very different situations, and those situations do not deserve the same conclusion. A date can record elapsed time, but it cannot record intention, sensation, context, or cause. Before answering what happens, I had to learn what the calendar could never show. For 3 years, I slept 3 feet away from my wife, and it felt like 300 miles. She'd fall asleep first. I'd lie there staring at the ceiling, wide awake, feeling like a roommate in my own marriage. I thought something was wrong with me. It wasn't weakness, and it wasn't just age. Here's what no one ever sits a man down to explain. This isn't about willpower. It's about specific systems in your body quietly losing steam year after year, while nobody tells you it's even happening. The pills my doctor handed me gave me headaches, made my chest feel tight, and honestly, they made me feel like I needed a pill just to feel like a man. I wasn't willing to live like that. There's a gentler way to bring those systems back, without any of that. At 83, my wife and I aren't roommates anymore. I'll show you exactly what changed it in this video, and if you want the simple support I personally use, there's a free presentation linked in the description below. If you stop ejaculating after 60, unused sperm is broken down and absorbed, so nothing dangerous automatically builds up. The important distinction is whether abstinence is your choice, or ejaculation has newly disappeared because of a medication, diabetes, nerve injury, prostate treatment, pain, or orgasm change. That is the answer I wish someone had placed beside my calendar. A chosen pause does not require panic, and a new symptom does not deserve to be hidden inside the word abstinence. Let us begin with the fear of accumulation. The male reproductive system keeps producing and handling sperm, whether every sperm cell leaves the body or not. Sperm that is not released does not stack indefinitely until a dangerous pressure valve opens. The body breaks it down and reabsorbs its components. Some men may also have an occasional nocturnal emission. Many will not. Neither outcome supplies a universal health verdict. I picture a pantry with regular turnover, not a sealed pressure tank. Items enter, age, and are cleared. The metaphor has a limit. A reproductive tract is living tissue, not a shelf, and this picture says nothing by itself about hormones, desire, relationships, or prostate disease. It simply corrects the idea that unreleased sperm must keep accumulating forever. What about testosterone? Abstinence videos often promise a rising reserve of male power, or warn of a hormonal collapse. The evidence does not support using the number of ejaculation-free days as a reliable testosterone prescription. Desire, erections, energy, muscle, sleep, mood, medicines, illness, and hormone status are related in complicated ways. A morning erection can be useful information over time, but it is not a laboratory test, and it does not prove what abstinence did. What about semen quality? Here the research is real, but often placed in the wrong story. A 2024 systematic review and dose-response meta-analysis included 85 studies of abstinence time, semen measures, and fertility outcomes. Longer abstinence generally produced more semen volume and a higher total sperm count. Shorter intervals were associated with lower DNA fragmentation and some favorable fertility-related measures. That is not a contradiction. Quantity and other quality measures can move in different directions. More importantly, these were fertility and semen analysis questions, often involving men seeking conception. They do not show that a man of 65 becomes healthier, weaker, more masculine, or less masculine by adopting long-term abstinence. If conception still matters to you and a partner, frequency can become a practical fertility question. That deserves advice matched to your situation rather than a rule borrowed from a video. If conception does not matter, a semen analysis finding is not automatically a reason to schedule ejaculation as though it were blood pressure medication. The prostate question is more emotionally charged. In a prospective cohort of 31,925 men, higher self-reported ejaculation frequency was associated with a lower incidence of prostate cancer over long follow-up. That association deserves respect. It does not prove that ejaculation prevented cancer, that abstinence caused cancer, or that a man must reach a monthly quota. The study was observational. Men who ejaculate at different frequencies may differ in health, relationships, activity, screening, and many other ways. Researchers adjust for measured differences, but adjustment cannot transform self-reported behavior into a randomized trial. I would not erase the association, and I would not turn it into a threat. This is where I stopped treating the calendar as a judge. I can acknowledge that ejaculation frequency has been associated with prostate outcomes, while admitting that no study tells every man over 60 what frequency is medically required. Screening decisions, urinary symptoms, family history, overall health, and personal values belong in a proper conversation. Now we come to the more important branch. What if you did not choose to stop? The American Urological Association guideline distinguishes delayed ejaculation, anejaculation, anorgasmia, and retrograde ejaculation. Anejaculation means no semen comes out with climax. Anorgasmia concerns absent or markedly diminished orgasm. Retrograde ejaculation means semen travels into the bladder rather than forward through the penis. Those definitions may sound technical, but they return control to the man. Nothing came out can involve a satisfying orgasm, a weak orgasm, no orgasm, pain, a long delay, or a change after surgery. Each version points to a different set of questions. Diabetes can affect nerves and circulation and, rarely, contribute to retrograde ejaculation. The National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases explains that semen entering the bladder mixes with urine and is safely urinated out. That is different from semen building up. A urine test after orgasm can help a clinician identify what happened. Medicines also matter. Antidepressants and some alpha blockers used for blood pressure or urinary symptoms can alter ejaculation. Prostate or bladder procedures, pelvic radiation, spinal or nerve injury, neurologic conditions, anxiety, and relationship context can also contribute. I am not naming these causes so a man can diagnose himself. I am naming them so he does not mistake a treatable or explainable change for a moral failure or an unavoidable sentence of age. Keep prescribed medicine unchanged unless the clinician responsible for it advises otherwise. A clinician or pharmacist can review the timing, dose, alternatives, and reason the medicine was prescribed. Sometimes the safest answer is to keep the medicine and address the sexual effect another way. Sometimes an adjustment is possible. That decision requires the actual medical record. Here's the practical stack I use. First, name the category honestly. Is this chosen abstinence, reduced opportunity, lower desire, erectile difficulty, delayed orgasm, dry orgasm, pain, or absent ejaculation? One sentence can turn a fog into a useful question. Second, note the timeline without obsessing over a daily score. Did the change begin after a new prescription, procedure, illness, or major loss? Is it consistent or situational? Can you climax during masturbation but not with a partner, or the other way around? A brief record helps a conversation. A calendar that decides your worth does not. Third, protect the foundations that support sexual health without pretending they assure a particular response. movement suited to your ability, sleep, blood pressure care, diabetes management, avoidance of nicotine, and attention to mood. Erections, orgasm, and ejaculation overlap, but they are not interchangeable switches. Fourth, seek evaluation when the change is new, persistent, painful, distressing, accompanied by blood, urinary symptoms, numbness, weakness, or a major change in orgasm. Sudden neurologic symptoms, severe pain, chest pain, or acute illness require prompt care, not an abstinence experiment. Fifth, let preference remain preference. If you feel well and freely choose not to ejaculate, you do not need to perform masculinity for a calendar. If you want sexual expression, you are not too old to ask for help. The goal is not maximum frequency. The goal is agency, comfort, safety, and honest connection. I still volunteer one morning a week repairing worn book covers at the library. The work is patient. Identify the loose hinge, use the right material, and do not glue every page together because one corner lifted. Men's sexual health deserves the same discrimination. A chosen pause is not automatically a disorder, and a disorder should not be disguised as a choice. Consider Calvin, a fictional composite. He is 71, widowed, and volunteers at a small local museum. For nearly a year, he tells friends that he has embraced abstinence. The phrase sounds dignified and complete. What he does not say is that he still has desire and orgasm, but little or no semen appears. The change began shortly after a medication adjustment for urinary symptoms. Calvin had assumed age had closed the subject. When he starts seeing someone, he avoids intimacy because he fears she will think a dry orgasm means he is not attracted to her. Instead of counting days, he writes down the sequence. Desire is present, erection is usually adequate, orgasm occurs, ejaculation is dry, and the change followed the prescription. He brings the note and medication list to his clinician. The evaluation distinguishes the symptom from dangerous accumulation and considers whether the medicine is contributing. Calvin does not abandon treatment on his own. The most important recovery is not a dramatic physical scene. Calvin tells his companion the truth. His body has changed, he is getting it evaluated, and the change is not a measure of her desirability. The conversation returns choice to both of them. Whatever the clinical plan becomes, shame no longer makes the decision. His story also shows why the title needs two answers. If Calvin had freely stopped ejaculating and felt no distress, unused sperm would be handled by his body and no secret pressure would keep rising. Because ejaculation disappeared while desire remained, the sensible action was not fear, it was clarification. My own calendar now records appointments, birthdays, and the day the recycling goes out. It no longer grades my masculinity. If I choose a period of sexual quiet, I can let it be quiet. If a function changes without my consent, I can describe it precisely and ask for help. That is the identity I want after 60. Not the man who obeys a quota, and not the man who hides every change under the word aging. I want to be the man who knows the difference between preference and symptom. So remember the whole answer. Stopping ejaculation does not make sperm collect forever, does not automatically poison the prostate, and does not create a promised reserve of testosterone. Research on semen parameters and prostate risk is worth knowing, but neither gives every older man a mandatory schedule. The useful test is not, how many days has it been? It is, did I choose this? Do I feel well? And has anything important changed? That question leaves room for abstinence, intimacy, medical evaluation, and dignity without forcing one path on every man. Your erections don't disappear just because you got older. They fade when the systems behind them, blood flow, nitric oxide, hormones, energy, and recovery, slowly stop getting the support they need. Ignore that long enough, and it becomes harder to reverse. That's why I take this concentrated formula every morning. Not one ingredient trying to fix everything, but several working together to support circulation, energy, and drive from the inside out. It's a natural, doctor-backed protocol designed to support pathways your body already knows how to use. No prescription, nothing artificial. Stronger, present, confident again. And unlike the pills I tried, I didn't feel disconnected from my own body. No headaches, just steady, gradual change. My wife noticed before I even said a word. The presentation is linked right below this video. It won't replace your doctor or a healthy lifestyle. It's simply there to support your body. At 83, my wife and I aren't roommates anymore, and it's not too late for you. Tell me in the comments whether this helped you separate a personal choice from a new symptom worth discussing. Subscribe for more clear, experience-based conversations about men's health after 6